You can't tell by looking who needs a Good Samaritan Inn. It started more than 3 decades ago, answering a need that rises and falls with the economy. With unemployment in the Decatur area in double digits, it's no surprise that in 2012, the number of meals served here increased by 5%, according to Brenda Garrell-Pyatt.
Decatur is a wonderful community, but they have a very high level of low income and homeless people who need food. I shouldn't say a higher level than any other town. I couldn't tell you if it's higher or lower. But I know that we have a lot of people here who need food. And though we would like to see, our goal is to go out of business, we don't see that happening anytime soon because the numbers of people coming in for a free meal go up every year.
Good Samaritan thrives because of volunteers and donations. There is food provided through the government, and food provided by people who have an abundance in their gardens. Volunteers also prepare the meals, and often find they get as much as they give.
Truthfully speaking, I ended up on the receiving end of this ministry, and I was standing in line, receiving a free meal, and one day I just said, Lord, I'm tired of being on the receiving end. I want to get on the giving side. So I started volunteering, working here. At least that way I was working for my meal. And one day Brenda came up in the dish room. I work in the dish room, and she said, Richard, would you be interested in a paying job around here? And I said, well, Brenda, as groovy as it's been being out of work for 51 months, the answer would be yes. So for me, it was a real blessing. I worked for DMH for 23 years, and the first 13 of them was in food service, and the last 10 I ran their vending operation for them. So the way I looked at it is like, I need a job, you need a qualified worker, so it just came together that way.
Well, it's a great satisfaction. It's a hands-on, literally kind of way to help out, and it's a physical way to contribute, something other than monetary or going to meetings, that kind of thing. So you actually get to pitch in and get your hands dirty and feed people, which is an important thing.
Oh, it's very cool. When you get to help the disabled people, it makes you feel so much better about yourself and stuff. I don't know.
If they want to volunteer, all they have to do is call. We're in the phone book, Good Samaritan Inn. We need every day about 6 to 8 people to help prepare the meal between 9 and 11. And then we need about 14 people to help serve the meal between 11 and 1. We try and keep a pretty close rein on how many people. We don't really encourage people just to walk in if they want to help. We encourage them to call because we watch that very carefully. The main reason being we need to have that many people for sure. But if we have too many people, then they stand around, there's nothing for them to do, and it's not a good experience, and they don't want to come back. So we want it to be, when they're here, we want it to be a good experience for them. And so we try to make sure we have the right numbers so that everybody has something to do.
The problem of hunger is not confined to Decatur. According to worldhunger.org, more than 14% of Americans, or 1 in 7, goes hungry on a regular basis. That's a big increase over just 5 years. The rate of hunger was 4% as recently as 2007.
The clients are all, for the most part, low-income folks. Now, some of them work part-time, and then a lot of them don't work at all. A lot of them are young mothers who are on public aid, or single men who can't work, or people with part-time jobs who make enough to pay the rent, but they don't make enough to buy a lot of food. Because if you're only working part-time at minimum wage, it just doesn't provide you much money. Even if you're working full-time at minimum wage, it doesn't provide you very much money. And so for some people, they use this as a supplement. That is, if they eat lunch here, a good lunch, then they don't have to spend as much of their little bit of money on breakfast and dinner. And there are some families that do that. They may have, the dad may be working at a minimum wage job, and the mom and the kids will come here to eat, and that allows them to have more money to spend to have better dinners. I can tell you that we did a study with Millikan students not too long ago, and we discovered that for 16% of the people that come here to eat, this is the only meal that they get every day. So every day that's about 50 people that come in here, and this is the only meal that they get. For another 34%, they get this and one other meal. So they get 2 meals a day. Now, for those of us whose biggest problem some days is pushing ourselves away from the table so we don't eat too much, that's a hard concept to realize, that right here in our community, where there is such affluence in many parts of the community, that there is such need in other parts of the community.
If you'd like to help, Good Samaritan Inn is located at 920 North Union in Decatur. I'm Luke Anstrom, reporting.